everybody. Welcome back to the Just Make It Pretty podcast. Today, our topic is conversations that convert. And I have a guest that's going to talk about AI chat and the future of buyer experience. So it's going to be a great topic today. We're really going to dive into how this industry has changed and how AI chats now are so different from the chat that you saw maybe 3-5 years ago. Everything is different and new now. So I'm really excited to have this conversation. So let's dive right in. Welcome to the Just Make It Pretty podcast, the slightly unhinged marketing podcast for home builders and beyond. I'm your host, Sarah Haynes, also known as the Pixel Wizard, and my goal is to tackle the tough stuff that goes in behind the scenes in marketing and offer actionable tips, creative insights, and a little bit of humor to spark some creativity. I'm so glad you're here. Now let's get started. So my guest today is James Matt. He is the founding partner and CEO at BuilderChat. I'm super excited to talk to him today. I have had the pleasure of working with him before, and he's got so much information to share about this topic. So, James, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, you're welcome, Sarah. Really appreciate you having me. And we're really big fans of everything you do and everything your team does at Shared Drive as well. Pretty stoked to be on the episode today and looking forward to sinking our teeth into some value for your listeners.
Yeah, thank you so much. I want to dive right in, but before we do, one of my favorite questions to ask is about you and how you got into the home building industry and about your role at BuilderChat. So share with us your backstory, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, sure. I've had a really interesting career in home building. Got started in my late teens. At 19, I actually got started as a subcontractor on the tools, actually working on building houses. Throughout my career, I progressed from there to estimating and project management. I was a partner in a contracting company for about 7 or 8 years. And I've also project managed entire home builds in a role that was kind of a sales and project management hybrid, basically from first contact, custom designing the home with the client, selecting all the finishes, tendering everything out, right up to handing them the keys. And also a few years of home sales as well. So about 7 years combined of new home sales. How that all led me to Builder Chat, an interesting story. Basically, I was a sales and marketing manager for a home builder, and it was right when COVID hit. And up in Canada, it was a little bit different than some of the places in the US. We had really strict lockdowns. People weren't allowed to go anywhere unless you were like a necessary service. And it was like insane, like being in a city with 2 million people and driving on the road and not seeing a single car, right? As you can
Sure.
imagine, there was a lot of fear and uncertainty at that time. And what was really scary for us was 100% of our pipeline, we had a bunch of warm and hot leads that we were working at the time. Basically, everybody kind of stopped engaging. Most people were like, hey, we're just going to hold off for now. And on top of that, no new people were reaching out. And when I say no, I zero.
Yes.
So yeah, it was very scary, especially when you're in a role that's primarily commission based and you're wondering how you're going to support your family. And then, of course, from the macro level, supporting the team and the growth of the company as well. So in our weekly meetings, one of the things that we found was really interesting was not only was our website traffic holding steady, it was actually better than it was before the lockdowns. So we were like, well, this kind of makes sense. People aren't going to work. They're sitting at home. They have time to maybe shop homes and surf websites, do some research, but they're not reaching out to us. We're kind of like, how the heck do we engage with these people and kind of meet them where they're at if they're not ready to kick up a conversation with sales? We explored a couple ideas and then we decided to run a pilot project that was a live chat solution. So not quite what you do at Shared Drive with professional OSCs. We were a smaller company and we were looking to keep costs reasonable and also have the ability to run the chat 24 hours because our traffic times were getting a little bit wonky around that time. What we settled on was implementing live chat staffed by foreign workers, and the foreign workers were out of India. Of course, that it gave us a placeholder on the website and chat, but also introduced a whole pile of problems that if I had thought it out before we implemented this, it might have made me pump the brakes, but we dealt with everything from like lack of understanding of terminology in the industry, especially like location specific, language barriers, training hurdles, reliability, things like that. And from time to time, in frustration, I kind of half jokingly say, one day we'll be able to do this with AI. And flash forward about 3 or 4 years, and that dream became a reality. Despite all of the hurdles that we encountered when we were using foreign workers to man our live chat, it still produced fantastic results. And I kind of came up with a few hacks that allowed us to kind of work around some of those language barriers and things like that. What we've done is we've taken some of the process that we implemented with the foreign workers, tapped into my 7 years of new home experience and other sales experience. And we've built powerful AI assistants that are designed to not only answer FAQs and help prospective clients navigate your website, they're also programmed with the capability to lead the conversation towards meeting with a human, which is our main objective, connecting a website visitor with a sales team member. So
Wow, that's an incredible story. And I can't believe how, like, we all went through 2020 and it was just so horrific. Like, what an amazing life event that we made it through. And to come out with something like this amazing company and this amazing product that like really solves an important problem is a really inspirational story. So thank you for doing that and thank you for sharing.
yeah, you're welcome. I appreciate the question. It's always fun to share a little bit of the background and get an opportunity to tell people about it.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to have this conversation because I think our buyers' expectations have really changed over that time. And I do think 2020 and COVID and all of that was a catalyst, but I think that just with the technology advancements that have happened over the last few years and everything, like people want a different buying experience. And the real question is, and I think what we're going to talk about today is like, are builders meeting that expectation? And if they're not, how can they? What do you feel? Kind of give me your take on that. What's your experience? And like, how are buyers now expecting to reach out?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And I think the home building industry as a whole is kind of starting to recognize this. There's a lot of conversations about changing buyer behavior and things like that. Growing up, I've always been the type of person, the answer wasn't good enough for me. I always wanted to know why, right? And it drove my parents and my teachers nuts. But it fuels a lot of the innovation and stuff we build at BuilderChat today. Coincidentally, my team just did a deep dive into evolving buyer behavior. And you're right. Basically, out of necessity during the pandemic, we saw like a huge amount of what I like to call like convenience and innovation, right? Because people couldn't interact in person, we saw all of these products and services developed to deliver what people needed without having that need to leave your house. Some of the things that we're seeing is like Amazon Prime delivery, click and order, grocery pickup, even grocery delivery, things like this. 5, 6 years ago, it wasn't as popular as it was. And I don't think it's necessarily like a conscious decision for buyers. They're not like, hey, I want you to serve me this way now. It's due to this evolution in online shopping and things like that that have just kind of slowly over time shifted buyers' expectations. And they may not even realize what their own expectations are. But we can look at some really powerful stats. Just referring to my notes here, e commerce is like exploding right now. Retail sales in Q2 of this year accounted for 16.3% of all retail sales. So that's huge, right? 53% of that is actually mobile traffic as well. So not only do we have to cater to people that are shopping more online, a lot of that is happening on mobile devices. So we really need to be looking at how we're optimizing our website flow and how buyers can potentially engage with our team on our website. As of 2024, we pulled this from a NAR report, National Association of Realtors, but basically 100% of home buying decisions now start online. And I'm sure some of the new home sales reps will resonate with what I'm about to say, but I remember like being in the show home and you see somebody pull up in their car outside and they sit out there for 5, 10 minutes before they come in. And again, I'm always like, why, right? So I'd often ask them, like, I noticed you pulled up a few minutes ago. Why were you sitting outside so long before you came in? And they said, well, we were just checking out your website to see what your available inventory was before we came in, right? In the past, it was kind of like the show home parades in the communities and things like that. And people that were searching for a home might say, hey, this Saturday, we're going to take the whole family and we're going to go drive around and we're going to see 10 different show homes. But that's not the case anymore. And even if a show home catches your buyer's eye, there is a chance that they're actually going to visit your website before they decide whether or not to enter the home. It's really interesting to watch all of this unfold. And the expectations, again, they're being subconsciously set by platforms like Amazon and all of these really other like streamlined buying experiences, right? Like I have an Amazon Prime account. I can go on and order something in 2 clicks, right? My credit card info is already on there. Of course, unreasonable expectation for a home purchase, maybe, but it kind of gives you an idea of like where these expectations are coming from. The
Oh, yeah.
question in my mind now is like, how can we close that gap and simultaneously give the buyers access to the insane amount of information that they require to even decide whether or not they want to talk to your team and shorten that buyer's journey as much as possible. And to be frank, like the larger of a builder you are, the more difficult of a challenge that is, right? One of our clients is in 70 communities and they have 500 to 1,000 homes as standing inventory and they're doing thousands of homes a year. Like, how do you streamline that journey from a website perspective? So that's kind of what we're dealing with in today's digital first buying environment.
Yeah. I feel like I am the prime example of that buyer because I have not gone to stores or like locations or done things if they don't have an online presence. If I can't book my appointment online somewhere, I'm not going to go there. And it's just the way that the world is. And I know too, some people are like, oh, well, it's because you're a millennial. Like, it's not. It's actually, my parents are the same way. Like the experience that is expected has changed across the board for so many people. And so it is a big ask, like you said, it's not necessarily building Amazon for home buyers, but they still want to have some form of interaction on the website. They want to have all the information there. It just feels weird to be like, I'm just going to walk in. I'm just going to see what happens. That just doesn't exist anymore.
Totally. Yeah. And you kind of threw out, oh, you're just a millennial. Well, just millennials are accounting for 30% of the home buying market right now.
True
So
too. Yeah.
if they're just a millennial to you, are you really willing to silo 30% of your potential buyers, or should we be looking at catering to them and meeting them where they're at, right? Gen Z, of course, a lot younger, but they are making up about 3% of the market right now. With millennials and Gen Z combined, you're talking about 32% of the market. And with the way other buying experiences are evolving, like you already brought up, even your parents have similar expectations. I haven't been able to come across any of the data. And a lot of the data that I discuss is actually coming from like NAR and realtor associations because the data just isn't there in the home building industry yet. Like I said, they're kind of slowly starting to wake up. From time to time, I catch somebody make a comment or post on LinkedIn, and I'm like, yes, somebody else is talking about this. But I still haven't really seen anybody talking about the why. And I think like developing an understanding of where buyers are coming from, and this is really true as a new home salesperson as well. Like one of the first questions I always ask a potential buyer is, so like, why are you looking to get into a new home? Right. And understanding that why, it just really positions you to provide an elevated level of service and help your buyers in the best way possible.
The way that the world is right now, like you gave Amazon's the perfect example. I want answers and I want what I want instantly. I want it
Totally.
fast. I mean, our attention spans have just changed, and the expectation is that this is going to happen right when I want it to. And that's not necessarily fair for home builders to expect their human OSC. It's okay, now you work 24/7. That's not like that's not cool. Like we don't want to be doing that to people. So like how can we
Totally.
meet this expectation but not just completely burn out our human teams? And I think AI and chat is the perfect solution to that, right?
Yeah, for sure. And it's if you had to, like, let's just backpedal and look at technological innovation over the past few years, right? When cell phones came out, everybody was like, nobody's going to want a cell phone. That's for rich business people, right? The first video phone was actually dropped in the 70s, totally flopped, right? When the internet came out, everybody was like, who's going to use the internet? Personal computers, same story, right? Mainstream media blowing up these articles like, hey, nobody's going to want this. This is ridiculous. And I think we're seeing a
Mhm.
little bit more adoption from AI just because people are so tech native now and everybody's working with their mobile devices and computers every day. So they kind of already had an inroad for that. But there still is a significant portion of the North American population that's a little bit hesitant or don't really see the use cases, or maybe they're a little bit afraid of AI as well. It is pretty interesting, but if we could use a really simple analogy, like where would you be without your email or your voicemail on your phone, right? It provides a service to receive messages from people that want to contact you when you're not available. And realistically, what we've designed is a really sophisticated version of that that's able to engage with somebody. So rather than getting a static voicemail message, it could actually be helpful, guide them towards wherever they need to end up. Maybe they're a fit for your product or service or they're not. But it's really a sophisticated form of answering service that also has the ability to kind of help your team optimize their time as well because it's helping to pre-qualify a lot of these potential buyers. And I don't know if I coined the term, I haven't heard anybody else say it, but a lot of people have heard the term tire kicker, and I like to call them foundation kickers, right? People that are they're looking at houses because they have nothing better to do. Maybe they're going to buy in 5 years, maybe they're not going to buy at all. But we're there to answer all of those questions for those people, take that load off your team. And then again, like the main objective, the way that we program our assistants, and I do like to call them assistants, they aren't chatbots. It's basically like the next generation, right? And calling what we build a chatbot is like saying chat GPT is a search bar, like totally different ball
Yeah.
game here. Yeah, they're just like a really powerful solution that can help your team. And as you mentioned, the ability to provide 24/7 coverage is really powerful. Some studies have shown, I think it was ECI, I caught this on, but up to 60% of home buyers are shopping after business hours. Our internal data has reflected that, and it does shift depending on the time of year. But we've seen levels as high as 52, 53% of our chats coming after hours.
So how do you get see how like your AI chat bots are able to keep a conversation going, or how does that work? If someone starts online and then we're trying to get them to a person, how does that process work for them?
Totally. Basically, we're taking the principles of how an effective salesperson would pre-qualify a potential buyer, and we're using those to identify certain signals and guide somebody that might be expressing certain levels of interest towards connecting with the team. It's basically if we identify certain key triggers, that this is where we have certain things programmed that would guide the buyer in a certain way. If basically we're asking questions, right? Just a good salesperson would. If somebody expresses interest by asking multiple questions about a certain community or a specific home, or they answer certain questions in a certain way, then what we would do is suggesting connecting with a team member. And then that's also one of our fallbacks, which was one of my most powerful fallbacks when I was working with foreign workers. Like I just told them, I got frustrated with some of the answers, and I said, hey, if you don't make stuff up, if you don't know the answer, just suggest that they connect with me and I'll be able to answer that with them. As we all know, a good question is an opportunity for a good conversation, and that's how it starts. So
Yeah. I think what impresses me most about like the chat tools like yours is that it is conversational. It doesn't feel like I'm talking to a bot. And like I've had this experience where I'll go on a site and be like, oh, cool, they have chat. Great. And I get on there and it's like you can just tell like this every single person gets the same thing. And like, this is not helpful. I have this question. So like how
yeah,
do I get it's like I just X out of them at that point because I'm like, well, this is not going to give me what I need. So being able to actually converse with it is really revolutionary and makes the whole experience so much different.
100%. And as far as I know, we're the only fully conversational solution in the industry right now. And that includes collecting contact details. So if you're engaging with our assistant and you'd like to connect with the sales team, it's going to be like, great, I need a couple things from you. Do you mind sharing your first name and your phone number, or email address, and the assistant actually gathers that information conversationally as well. That kind of brings me to a hot tip. If there's home builder marketers watching this that have a form gated chat on your website, it's kind of a glorified placeholder. And what we've worked really hard to do is reduce as many friction points as possible. And we found that one of the sorry, brain farting here. One of the worst friction points in a conversation is a form, right? And if you picture
Yeah.
talking to somebody, like even if you're getting to a decision, let's say you're getting a new cell phone or anything like that, as soon as they're like, okay, sign here, you're okay. Like I have to make sure this is the right decision, right? When you introduce a form, even if it's a low friction form, of course, like the lower friction, the better in that regard. But now you're shifting from a conversation to somebody almost making a commitment, and that stalls them out. So what we've done is we've totally eliminated that and just kept everything flowing. So if you have a chat on your website and it's form gated, I challenge you, at least during business hours, pull the form off and watch your leads skyrocket just from that alone.
Yeah, no, it's true. You feel like you're signing up for something now. Okay, now they're going to email me. I'm not sure if I want to go with this builder yet. Like this, I don't know. And it's just, it's a big ask. So you have to make it simple and you have to just give them enough information that they begin to start trusting you. You're not just here to sell them something, you're here to actually provide what they're looking for, the solution to their problem.
Totally, yeah. And it is a little bit of a dated tactic, and buyers are a little bit more savvy now
Yeah.
just because of how connected everybody is. Like they are sold to a lot more. So they know exactly what you just said. They are signing up for something, they are going to get contacted. And it's, if you look at the internet kind of coming out in the 90s, optimizing websites for collecting info via form was kind of like at its peak probably around 2000s 2015. And now, like I remember when every builder, like they would form gate their floor plans and things like that, and it crushed. Like
Yeah.
they built amazing mailing lists, they collected a lot of leads, but hey, people are wise to that, so we just got to adjust, right? They still buy homes; it's a necessity, and we just got to approach them a little bit differently.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that when everything was gated like that. And the smart people, which I think I was one of them, I just had a fake email that I never checked. Like I put in there,
Yeah,
okay, you're gonna go to my like junk email box. So
yeah,
that's still gonna happen too. So if you can actually like connect with someone and actually gain a little bit of trust before you make those asks, much more likely to give you the email they actually check, and like they're more likely to actually respond then as well.
100%. And I think like the foundation of trust with somebody that you don't have a relationship with yet is transparency, right? If you're engaging with somebody and you feel like they have nothing to hide and they're totally open with you, it automatically makes the conversation more open on both sides. So
For sure. Well, I want to shift a little bit to the data side because I know a lot of builders, they're trying to build up their data and everyone is looking into what can I see? And AI tools are giving so much more than we're used to seeing. So tell me a little bit about the type of data that builders could get from a chat like this that wasn't possible before.
that's a really great question, and sorry if I get like more excited about that than I should. I do nerd out on data a little bit, but yeah, that's one of the coolest parts of having an early engagement system like BuilderChat or something else that might be high quality is if you look at like the typical buying cycle, maybe it's 3 to 7 months for a home buyer, right? So that means if you're running a marketing campaign, typically you're gathering feedback from your buyers. You might have like a 3 month delay on like valuable data. Like, of course, you can look at your website metrics, but again, like the larger the builder and the bigger their website is, the more misleading that can be, right? Because if someone, no matter how fantastic your website is, everybody kind of navigates things differently. And if they don't find what they're looking for, they might just leave. So your marketing may have been awesome. Maybe it didn't bring them right to where they wanted to go. So they bounced off your site. In that scenario, that's typically when somebody would engage a chat, right? So they're like, frustrated, they can't find what they're looking for, maybe this will help me, right? So by collecting data with our chats, what we're doing is, and especially on the enterprise level, we actually have the ability to build out custom data sets for our clients depending on what they want to see. What we're able to do is almost give you like instant feedback on marketing campaigns, new community launches, and things like that, right? For example, if you're dedicating 50% of your marketing budget to a new community launch, and the inquiries that we're seeing are only 5 to 10% of your traffic, that's a really great early leading indicator that maybe that marketing campaign needs to be dialed in. What we're doing is we're fast forwarding that feedback loop, which is really important in the instant gratification world that we're in, because if you don't make that good first impression with the buyer, there is a chance that they may not come back, especially if they find what they're looking for immediately somewhere else. But yeah, we can structure that any way we want. Some of the really important ones are like specific communities, specific incentives, things like that, just to help teams dial in a bit. And of course, it's super valuable for us on our side, which is why we started collecting it, because it allows us to optimize our product to be much better as well. So.
That's so valuable for builders to be able to see. And especially for marketing, I'm always asking about what kind of data can we get from this tool? And it's a big question when I'm like, okay, if we're going to implement something and like we're going to go through this whole process with a technology solution, I want to make sure that I'm going to be able to get that data. I'm going to be able to see what's happening, and I'm going to be able to make better decisions from here forward. So how does this data and all of these insights and everything that you're getting support your sales goals as well?
Specifically, I think the most valuable data is the transcript from the chat. And there's two reasons for that. Number one, you don't have to frustrate your potential buyer by asking them all of the same questions that they may have already discussed with your digital assistant. Number two, it allows salespeople to actually prepare for a call before they initiate contact with a buyer. They know Sarah has a family of four and she's looking for a 5 bedroom because she needs a home office and she's interested in this area. So you're immediately dialed in. So it's definitely a little bit of an unfair advantage. It's almost like being able to read your prospect's mind before you engage with them. And the studies that I found related to this were more related to mental health and healthcare. And I haven't found any data on this of home buying or anything, but people are actually more likely to open up to a chatbot or AI than they are to another human, especially if the topic is like considered embarrassing or sensitive. We could use like a really embarrassing example like hemorrhoids. Somebody would be much more likely to engage with a chatbot than a human if they were given the option, right? What does that look like in home buying? It might be, hey, we don't know if we can qualify for financing. We don't know what we can afford. What are the payments on this? A lot of those kind of questions, early stage buyers that might be qualified, but they're uncertain of, might ask the assistant. So again, it gives you more of a frame of reference and allows you some insight into your buyer before you contact them. And now the most important part of that, it sets you up to build amazing rapport with somebody right away, because the first interaction they have with you, they're like, this guy gets me or this girl gets me, right?
That's super valuable. And a lot of times too, I'm sure like buyers, they're not going to remember, oh yeah, I told the chatbot that, but they're just going to be like, oh my gosh, they just know exactly what I need. And even if they do remember, or if you say, oh, well, we know that you chatted in and you mentioned this question, here's the answer. Wow, they really pay attention to me. They care.
At the end of the day, good salespeople do care, and that's
Yeah.
what sets them apart. And I'm sure there might be some salespeople that don't even look at the transcript before they call a buyer. I don't know, but I know for me personally, part of like pre-qualifying somebody is making sure that they're the right fit for the product or service that you're offering, right?
Yeah. Let's get into some practical takeaways here. So, what would you say as your best advice to a home builder that might be interested in something like this, or they're evaluating different options that we have in the industry? What are some of your advice of things that they should take into account?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I like to use the analogy, and I think this would apply to any sort of engagement product that you might be looking at or service. Is, do we have things in place? Do we already have a machine that's running fairly well, right? Where we can produce the best results, or with a client that already has a marketing machine rolling and they already have a sales machine rolling, and we're kind of bridging the gap. I like to use the analogy like if you take a bucket of rocket fuel and you dump it on a match, it puts the match out. If you throw it into a rocket, you go to the moon, right? So the same rocket fuel, totally different results. So if your marketing is not generating any traffic, an engagement solution on your website isn't going to do anything. If you don't have a sales team that can actually close a deal and knows how to service a potential buyer, then of course an increase of leads might not result in an increase in sales. So those would be like the first two pre-qualifying things. Are you generating traffic? And if it's not the right traffic, a solution like ours or maybe some other solutions could actually help you dial that in. But the main thing is you know how to get attention. You're bringing people to your website, and again, that could support your sales team and being a bit better. But those are two key components, I think. Number two would be like the cost, right? And there's a monetary cost, and then there's time cost, there's the learning curve, there's the willingness for your team to adopt new technology. These are all things that are really important when you're looking at bringing something new into the mix, especially with salespeople. If they have something going the way that they're used to, even if it's not the best, you can get quite a bit of resistance. I'm not sure about other products out there, but we've worked really hard to basically reduce all of those costs as much as possible for our clients, like a subscription fee, very reasonable. We do offer month to month, and we do have a free trial on our entry level package. Learning curve, training your team, zero. We set everything up for you. We plug into your existing tech stack. Nobody has to learn anything new. Nobody has to worry about programming your AI. And then time. So how long is it going to take to implement? And how long does it take to get to first value when we're working together as well, or when you're considering any solution? That was more your question. So I'd say those are like the big ones. And then, of course, like, does it fit into your budget and things like that are all things to consider. So,
Yeah. And shameless plug for my website. If you guys want to check out BuilderChat, go to the Shared Drive website. We have the bot on there and you can play with it. Also, though, James, where could they reach out to you and find demos and get into contact with your team if they're interested in something like this?
yeah, totally. Feel free to reach out via DM on LinkedIn if you're inclined. You can visit our website, BuilderChat US. We do have Aurora up on our website, who's our AI assistant, so you can play around with that as well. Typically, the way we get things started, again, you could shoot me a DM or book on your website, choose a time slot that works, is we just get together for kind of a really laid back 15-minute chat. If we decide things look like there could be some opportunity there to work together, what we'll do is we'll build a custom demo for your team and get together for a quick demo call. It's about 30 minutes, and you know that's about it. So about 45 minutes of your time to see if it's a fit. And I'm also happy to just jam out with anybody in the industry as well. I know a lot of people are curious about playing around with some new AI tools and things like that. So if you just want to chat about stuff like that, definitely happy to connect.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here and sharing all of your knowledge. It was great to talk to you. And is there anything else that you feel like we missed or you need to let all these home builders know, like your last words? What would that be?
Yeah, I would say if you have a little bit of like PTSD around like legacy chatbots, again, this is why I say we build custom digital assistants. We're in a totally different world. It only takes a few minutes to check it out and understand what we're talking about here today. Second, I would say like your team at Shared Drive, I really love the passion and the skill that you bring. And for anybody that does have an in-house OSC team, or you're considering working with a company like Shared Drive to kind of bring that human element, like that's really amazing. If you're more of like a mid-market builder and maybe you don't have the budget to dedicate to that right now, I would say like a digital solution is definitely kind of the second best and can help you level the playing field against some of your competition that may have a little bit larger of a budget than you. Realistically, the future is here. We have some really cool options. The pricing's really reasonable, and we're producing amazing results for the clients already. So it's really fun, and I'm excited to connect with more people and be a part of the cutting edge evolution of the home buying experience.
Definitely. Well, thank you. And thank you for sharing your time with us today. To all the listeners, I hope that you found this valuable, and definitely go check out Builder Chat and come back and let me know how you like it. I'd love to hear feedback from you guys. I know personally James and his team are active on LinkedIn. So comment wherever you're seeing this post or you're listening in. I'd love to hear your feedback, and like and follow the podcast. Go check out our clips over on Instagram and TikTok and everywhere that you can find clips. We're on YouTube. So let us know what you think and come back for our next episode next week. Thanks so much for being here. Bye, everybody.